Hi everyone and welcome to my YouTube channel. This evening I've made it out to Two Tree Island for a sunset shoot to one of the barges that's here washed up on the shoreline, and hopefully it's going to work out to be a really good evening shoot. It's been a lot more atmosphere within the weather the past week, which is great because now we've obviously lost the blue sky and actually got some detail back within it with some cloud formations. So fingers crossed this one's going to work out today. I've got some cloud coming over, about an hour, 45 minutes or so until sunset, so hopefully once that cloud cover comes over and it stays clear on the horizon, maybe in with a winner. Might be my last words on that one, but let's have a look at what I come up with. Working on the first composition that I've got here down low to the actual wreck of this boat. I've taken a picture of this one before, however not within this really lovely golden light conditions. So I've got the camera quite low on 18mm. I had it in vertical orientation, taking a panoramic image, and it was about 3 images that I took at f11, ISO 100 and 1/40th of a second as my shutter speed. But I was having to use obviously the 10-second timer on it, as you saw, obviously having to rush out the way each time obviously I pressed the shutter button. And the reason why is obviously my shadow was casting quite a long line across the actual image, and that would have been really distracting if I would have obviously left it in with me being behind the camera. So yeah, obviously making sure that you're thinking about that when you're shooting obviously sunset or sunrise, and obviously the light is behind you like it is for me this evening. So it's a really good thing to think about, is what direction the light is shining on your subject. Unfortunately for this actual composition, there is a massive pole right in the obviously in the mud there, so that's going to have to be sort of edited out in post-production, because yeah, that's really unsightly. But yeah, working out really quite well, balancing the histogram as well for that one with the 1/40th of a second as the shutter speed, working out really quite well for that actual image. And again, what's really helping when I'm taking the panoramic images is this base leveler as well. It's working out really handy to just obviously plonk the tripod in the rough area of where I actually want it, leveling that up, and then I know everything above that is level, and then obviously just balancing the camera and leveling that off as you obviously need to. But yeah, working out really quite well. The lovely light that's lighting up this side of the boat here is working out really well, and a little bit of foreground interest I think I'm going to leave in some of this grass, focusing on the boat as well, which is the key subject when I'm obviously taking an image. I always try and focus on the actual main element within the actual image, whether that's foreground interest, midground, or the main subjects in the background. That's the point of focus. And obviously if it's softer in the foreground, if you're focusing on the background, then so be it. That's the way I want you to view the image. There's a lot of debate around where you should focus. Should you focus stack? Sometimes you should, yes, working out really well when you're getting that sort of front to back sharpness, but sometimes you want a little bit of softness in the foreground or the background if your main subject, as in this case it is sort of in the midground. That's where you want the sharpness, that's where you want the eye to come and rest. You want the eye to explore the rest of the image, yes, but that's where the main interest is. That's where you want to pull out that detail. Hopefully I'll come up with another composition now. Just seen one over there, so let's have another hunt around. Working on the next composition here, I've found some really interesting foreground interest. To me, it looks like sort of an old trolley or something, like a railway trolley or something that they've obviously used to actually anchor the wreck here, but working out to be really interesting foreground interest. So I've got the camera set up really quite low, and it's a bit slippy down there, so I've actually gone in the mud myself, but anyway, the sacrifices we make for these images. So I've got the camera set up looking at the foreground interest and then onto the boat, and I've got a panoramic image of about 4 or 5 images on a sweep right across, set at f11 ISO 100 and 1/10 of a second as the base image. However, I'm bracketing this image at 1 stop either side, just so I've got that bit of dynamic range, because when I was actually taking it, which is about sort of 10 minutes or so ago now, the sun was up and obviously had that little bit of dynamic range of a darker foreground and obviously a lighter midground and sky behind as well. So I wanted that, obviously, those 3 images for the 5 actual sort of images that I've taken, or 5 compositions that I've taken, to stitch together to make that panoramic image. So I'll work on that one, and then I've gone back into vertical orientation and done a focus stack. Now, I was talking about earlier about where you actually want the interest, and for this focus point in the actual image, and this one actually is, I want obviously both the foreground and the background being the wreck itself in sharp focus. So for that settings there, I've taken the image at f5.6 ISO 100, and I'll post up obviously the shutter speed because I can't remember it off the top of my head, but I've taken that for the foreground, and then I've taken again for obviously the wreck as the background image, and again I've bracketed 1 stop either side because of that dynamic range. I wanted to make sure when you're out and about that you've actually got as much information as possible. When you obviously get back to the post-editing, you think, oh, I wish I would have taken that exposure or bracketed that particular image, so I've got those images in the bag. Yeah, obviously you can manipulate it in raw files, but I don't think it really sort of replicates it that much. If you can actually do it in camera, then you've got that information, saves time, and then obviously you can stitch it all together and let the software do its thing. But yeah, it's working out really well. Unfortunately, the sun has gone down now. Yeah, the sun is due to set in about sort of 10 minutes, but due to the lay of the land, it's actually come down, and there's a bank of cloud on the horizon, which is always typical, isn't it, when you come out to do these types of sunrise or sunset shoots. But yeah, they're the conditions. And unfortunately as well, looking and thinking, oh great, obviously the weather, the clouds are going to come overhead. Yeah, I can see the clouds. They're over there. They're not here. Frustrating, but that's it, isn't it? That's landscape photography. Sometimes it works. If that wind would have slightly blown the clouds over here, so it would have caught some of the light, as some of them are now, and that's obviously rubbing the salt into the wounds as well, as you can see that lovely sort of orange glow on some of the cloud formation over there. Yeah, I just actually had a thought. I don't know if I'm going to be really cheeky and take an image of that sky and then somehow it ends up over there. Might happen, but I don't know, artistic license, bending that rules is yeah, something you can do. Should you do it? Shouldn't you do it? I don't know, personal preference really, to be honest, but I'm definitely loving that cloud up there to actually put right over there. Yeah, wait and see with that one. Unfortunately, the light didn't really want to play ball, or more particularly the actual cloud cover didn't really want to play ball on today's shoot. But yeah, that's just the luck of the draw, isn't it, really? And why we love landscape photography so much is you never know what the conditions are going to be like until you're actually on the ground there looking at the subject you want to photograph. And yeah, if it works, absolutely fantastic. But obviously sometimes it doesn't always play ball or exactly the way that you want it. I had obviously dry conditions, I had the light, fantastic, was able to capture that. Just obviously wanted a little bit more detail in the sky beyond. There's loads over that way, and I can keep on telling you that, and obviously taking a couple of bits of B-roll of the cloud cover in that direction, but hey ho, that's the way it goes. And I think, to be honest, it's probably a little bit of karma coming back on me. Dave Griff of UTOG's, great vlogger, obviously I've posted a link to his YouTube channel in the description. He posted an image on his UTOG's Facebook group of a quick iPhone snap that he took of a sunset, and yeah, obviously I commented back on it. Yeah, typical sod's law, isn't it, that you want to go out, don't think it's worth it, and then obviously that happens. And yeah, the conditions were great today, but unfortunately it just didn't work. Sod's law, isn't it? One of those things. But I've enjoyed it, and that is the key thing really. Never ever have I obviously got upset or annoyed or frustrated when I've actually come out with the camera. It's always enjoyable coming out with the camera, regardless of the set conditions that you've got. You've got to work it in your favour, and today I think it's worked out really interesting. I've wanted to come to shoot this boat in many different compositions, which I've captured tonight, but yeah, it's just one of those things. Ideally, yeah, I wanted a little bit more cloud cover, but unfortunately the way it is, and I've said that a number of times now, so I'm rabbiting on. But I appreciate everyone for watching the vlogs today. Thanks very much for that. Please make sure you leave us a comment as well, as I really do enjoy those comments. Please give it a like as well, and please consider subscribing if you haven't already subscribed. And on that point, I'm really doing well with the subscriptions. I'm working up to that 500 mark, so thanks to everyone that's recently subscribed. Really appreciate your support, and those that have followed me from the beginning, appreciate you sticking around with me. There's some great vloggers out there. Yeah, still can't understand why people are actually subscribing, but I'm enjoying it. I'm getting out and about, and that's another thing that I wanted to say quickly is, yeah, we're lucky enough to be out and about now, but please be safe when you do venture out. If it's with your camera, with the family, whatever you're doing, please be safe when you're out and about. Thanks a lot for watching, and take care.